Hello, everyone, and welcome out to The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, a podcast where I sit down with some of my friends in the local Columbus, Ohio theater, film, and improv scene and talk a bunch of geeky stuff. Some of it good, some of it bad, but all of it definitely geeky. If you enjoy our programs, be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts and to leave a review, or subscribe and leave a review wherever you can get podcasts. Support for this podcast comes from our lovely backers on Kickstarter, like Tavia Ordway, for example. Tavia is someone that I used to work with, and it means the world that she supported and backed us on Kickstarter, and she was one of my favorite people to talk to almost every day. And I miss those talks, to be honest with you, and it's one of those things where it's been a while since we've actually hung out and talked, and it hurts my soul a little bit. Tavia is a huge Wonder Woman fan, by the way, and so Tavia, thank you so much for backing us on Kickstarter. It means the world. Our official sponsor of the show is Audible. With over 200,000 titles to choose from, get one audiobook and 2 Audible originals each month included with your trial, even once your trial ends and normal membership begins. How rad is that? Best part is you own your library, meaning you keep the books even if you cancel with Audible. Plus, you get easy exchanges. So, don't love a book? Swap it out for free anytime. Sign up for your free trial over at audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. Download the Audible app and start enjoying your new audiobook. Hello, everyone. In this episode, we're going to sit down and talk to Travis Horseman on all types of Travis Horseman things. In particular, maybe something new he has coming up right here on The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky. But if we talk about anything, whether it be his projects, whether it be anything else, there could be spoilers involved. So just beware about that. And if there's anything you want to say about this episode, if it's good, email us at goodbadgeeky@gmail.com. We'll read anything. If it's not good, well, keep your opinions to yourself. All right. Enough said on my end. Will, roll 'em. So it's great to have you on because you are launching. By the time this goes up, it will already be launched by like a day or 4.
It'll be about 5 days in at that point.
5 days in at that point.
Still pretty fresh.
What's happening is you are launching a Kickstarter for Amiculus, the Ultimate Omnibus. Am I saying that right? Okay,
that's the one.
And I'm a big fan of the. Well, I got the first Omnibus.
Yes.
It was a Kickstarter bonus. Right? It's what it was. It was a very limited supply of those. And what's great about it is that it's all redone, and not all redone, but you know what I mean? Like, it's all nice and new, but there's also an additional 24-page chapter.
For this new one, yes.
For this new one, which I love more Amiculus. So I'm looking forward to that. What made you... I mean, I kind of know off and on you've occasionally like said to me, it's like, I'm thinking of doing this, but like, why now?
Well, to give you a little bit of background, this, for those of you who aren't familiar with Amiculus or first hearing this for the first time, is like, what the heck is that? Amiculus is a 3-part graphic novel series that I created, that I fundraised through Kickstarter, set during the fall of Rome, but it presents the fall of Rome not as, just a whimper. It's much more of a bang, basically. Rome didn't fall, but was destroyed, brought down by a mysterious figure from the shadows. A lot of elements similar to V for Vendetta or Assassin's Creed, in that, with one lone vigilante fighting against the corrupt rulers of a crumbling empire. Like I said, between 2014 and 2017, we funded 3 successful Kickstarters. I broke the book up into 3 parts. For the 3rd book, as an extra perk, I added a limited edition omnibus that combined all 3 books into one. It went out to a very small number of people. Now I am eager to do like a mass release to the public, to actually create a standard sale version of this that I can release to the public. But I'm also redesigning it. It's got a whole new look, new cover, lots of new art. There's going to be a new map, the world of Amiculus, all of the empires and kingdoms and everything. There's going to be new content and additional, sketch art and things from Giancarlo Caracuzza that were not in the first one. And most importantly, there'll be a whole new story, a 24-page story added to the book that will actually be a bridge between Amiculus and a sequel story, a sequel series that's called Amiculus Domina.
So there's going to be... So the second story is Domina?
Yes.
And it's just that chapter? Or is it like that's a prequel or a setup for a whole other series?
Well, actually, it works really nicely as an additional chapter to the Amiculus story and the first chapter to a new sequel.
That I did not know. Damn it, man. You just have all my money. Because I was just like, okay, this is like, a nice little possible. I haven't read it yet. I just know from what I know of the story and everything, I was like, okay, this might fill in like some things here and there. You're just padding out, this great story you've already told. And
it's not padding out. We're adding value.
Sorry, that's poor wording on my part. But I will say though, Amiculus is very, in a good way, it's historical fiction it's kind of dense in that regard, which is great. You just jump right in and you just immerse yourself in the world. And history itself, by definition, is I feel fun, but it's also can be a little whoa, what's going on?
It doesn't live for a lot of people for a good reason.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, you're going to be like filling in some little things that you've maybe teased here and there, you've alluded to in the story, and it's like you might be doing that, but it's also setting up something else. So now my question is the same artist, is it
Giancarlo, yeah.
Giancarlo, is he also going to be doing Domina, like the full...
You bet.
Man.
You bet.
So do you have a timetable set up for that?
Yes.
If you don't feel comfortable sharing it, I understand you don't have to. Nick is wondering.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to release this one. This is probably going to be about 100 to 120 pages total. I'm going to release it I'm thinking it's going to be about probably a 5 to 6 issue. I guess if it's 100, I guess that'd be more like 140. Hard to say.
Sure.
It sort of takes on its own life.
Well, and also too, it's curious because how many pages per issue are you doing?
I'm going to keep it to standard
23 or so.
Standard floppy comic, like 20 to 24 pages per issue.
Okay,
and it's going to be like I would say looking at a 6-issue run.
Okay.
For that, and then later on, that one will be combined into its own omnibus as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Now, then, are you... Now, can you go as far to say, will there be a third chapter?
Oh, yes.
Oh, so you have a trilogy, planned, which is amazing.
This is... basically, this is kind of my MCU planning, I guess, if you think about it, I got this planned out until, 2040, but, which it may just about take that long, but...
The joys of self-publishing.
Yes. But if you like, I can go into some details about this additional chapter.
Yeah, please do. Well, yeah, I know some stuff that's going on, so I don't want to spoil it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as long as it doesn't do that, I feel we can tiptoe around it.
No, it won't spoil anything.
Okay, no. Good.
To give some background, again, for those of you who don't know, one of the twists of this story is actually a true fact. It's hard that we have to say true facts these days. It's sort of it's kind of like free gift. You know? It's like, isn't that inherent? The last emperor of the Western Roman Empire was a 12-year-old boy named Romulus. And a lot of this story is shown from his point of view. One chapter, and you may remember this, one important chapter in the book is a memory of his that is basically the last time it's the last happy memory that he had before all of this craziness started. And it was a day on a beach with his family. And to him, I mean, it's in the book, it's displayed in these, rosy sepia-toned nostalgia, very, just like it was the greatest day ever. Well, this new chapter, which is going to bridge into the new series, and it is from the point of view of the key character in this series, that's Romulus's mother. And it's shown, and it shows that exact same day in the story from a much darker perspective, like what was really going on.
Yeah, so that's true, because it is kind of through a prism of, it does feel like one or two other things is happening, but again, because it's through the boy's perspective, he's just having a great day.
Yeah.
And yeah, because then it kind of, if I remember correctly, it flashes to something else that's not a great day.
Yeah.
And that's why he's remembering the happy times, so to speak. So,
yeah.
Okay.
It's taking, essentially, a scene that we're familiar with from the first book and using that as a jumping off point from a totally different perspective.
Sure.
And telling that story, which does not get told in the first series.
Right, but in terms of how the story is told, so is it book 1, book 2, book 3 of Amiculus, and then the other chapter, or is it like in between like book 1 and book 2, or in between book 2 and book 3?
Well,
like, and in terms of, I'm talking like if I open up the book the placement of the story within the book, of how you have it laid out currently, which is book 1, book 2, book 3, is how I was meaning.
Right. Well,
or is that giving too much away?
No, it's not giving. No, none of this is a spoiler at all.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
This is an annoying thing about artists. They like telling stories out of order. This will add a significant amount of context to how Amiculus came to be.
Well, it's when a mommy and daddy love each other. No.
Yeah. Like a ripe tomato. But,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's going there already. But, no, this actually takes place entirely before the like a lot of the bulk of the story in Amiculus takes place during a massive siege of Rome. All of this entire story takes place. It starts a few years before that and leads right up to like a pivotal defeat of the Romans against the barbarians. That's Amiculus's first. It's his debut, basically. I mean, it starts on that day on the beach. That's the day it starts, and then moves linearly up to Romulus becoming emperor after his father overthrows the previous emperor, and the entire shit show that follows.
That poor boy. So I am curious, how far into the future does book 2 possibly go? Or is that like, nope. That's wait and find out.
In this series, or?
I'm sorry, this is confusing now. So, the first Amiculus trilogy, not that book 2, or it's the second chapter, so the second trilogy.
Yeah.
How far into the future can you say that will take place? Or is it like, because I mean, there is actually a very set up timeline that is in your first 3 books that will be in this omnibus, which you can get if you go to Kickstarter and back it.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just is, and again, this is coming from someone who has read it, and I'm trying to very nicely dance around it. But will it be like really far flung in the future? Like not far flung, but like like maybe 50 years or so, 25 years.
Well. Let me start by saying the Amiculus series goes back and forth between the fall of Rome and an event 60 years later, which is when the Romans tried to take Rome back. That actually happened, yes. The Romans came back and tried to take Italy back from the barbarians. The first, like I said, the first series, Domina, takes place a few years before the fall of Rome. That starts a few years before the fall of Rome. The next series, the one that I have planned way off in the future and is still very much
cooking,
that one takes place almost exactly between the fall of Rome and the Reconquest.
Okay,
and it deals with Romulus as a young man.
Okay,
he's a boy here. He's about 29 or 30 years old, and it shows him. I mean, I can't really say much about it because there's a major spoiler.
That's real. No. That's really the only thing I want to know is how this was a timeline. I didn't need you to. So apologies. I was just trying to cook. Like, where is this laying out? Because because again, you are very well versed into this stuff in terms of the history of all of it. So I was just trying to be like, okay, where in history is this going to be tucked in? But I
can say that at this point in the third series, Romulus's life has taken something of a turn, It's been pretty placid up to this point. His life has taken a turn, and he now stands in danger of becoming just like his horrific father. And even to the point that and this may sound weird, to the point that he becomes a target of Amiculus himself.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can explain more of that to you.
No. Actually, you know what? I very much want to know, but I'm going to say no because I'm going to wait to see how that unfolds. Because because it's like at that point you're like showing me a trailer, a verbal trailer of what would happen, and I'm going to be our friend Keith Jackson, where he's just like, I'm just not going to listen. I'm not going to watch the trailer. Yeah. I'm going to see it. You have it. Yeah.
I even have a tentative title for that series. It's called Amiculus, King of Italy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There's going to be some kings in there. Yep. There's going to be some Italy and Amiculus.
Yep.
Boom. So. What else? Are there any extra outside of the omnibus, the Ultimate Omnibus, and that extra chapter? Is there anything else you are offering to the Kickstarter backers?
Yes, as a matter of fact, a very popular reward in the previous series was having backers being able to be drawn into the book as characters or being drawn in the style of the world of Amiculus.
Yeah,
Giancarlo has been very generous about that. He's probably done. God, how many? Like 30 or 40 of them at this point.
Yeah.
Well, considering that most of the art in the book is done, unfortunately, we don't really have any characters that we can provide. However, we're doing something a little different. We're actually providing customized sketch covers for some of the books where Giancarlo can draw a person into the world of Amiculus on the cover of the book, draw them their very own cover with them at front and center.
Wow. Okay.
Limited reward.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and just so you can get, if I remember correctly, where does he live at?
Giancarlo lives in Rome. He is Roman. He's been Italian, etc. He's been that his entire life.
So I just like to point out how awesome this is. Like, so technically, you're getting a real Roman who's going to draw in your book, put you in the book, and then he's going to mail it. Or somehow it's going to come over here so it can be distributed out to you.
Yep.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah. It's worth noting that Giancarlo Caracuzzo has a incredible 40-year background in creating comics. He's worked for Marvel and DC, some titles, if I may, just sort of blow my own horn here. Some of his credits include Giant Size Spider-Man, Batman 66, Cable, Jonah Hex. He did the Formic Wars series for Marvel a few years ago. He's got quite a laundry list.
Yeah, it's just so interesting how Marvel and DC, well, not just Marvel and DC, it's everyone now. Like there's just such great talent that you can go outside of the country for and find, because I feel like before it was just very much like a horse with blinders on kind of situation. But the internet has opened that up where, you can work with people, not artists in America can also work with writers overseas and inkers, colorists, letterers. Dear Lord, I forgot what the word letterer was.
Yeah.
I was just like, the word guy is what my brain came up with. And then background, there was like a red flag.
The guys who blow up the word balloons.
That was not it, Nick. That was not that word. The guy who blows up the balloon. So, sorry, random weird thing. Have you ever read Who Censored Roger Rabbit? The original book Who Framed Roger. Okay, it's nothing like that. In that Roger Rabbit dies in the first 50 pages.
What?
Boom, yeah. But the twist is, instead of animated characters, they're comic strips. So when he goes to work, he's getting his photo taken, and then it gets turned into a panel on a comic strip.
Oh, okay.
So when he talks, there's an actual word balloon that goes above his head, and it slowly disintegrates, kind of like Spider-Man's web. It hangs in the air there for a bit, and it just slowly disintegrates.
Yeah.
And so if a tune gets killed... guess what? You have evidence of their final words.
Whoa.
And so Roger's final words is something like, oh my God, you can't... Wait, what? No! Or something like that. And so Eddie has to go... But then here's the weird part. Roger Rabbit then also shows up at his door a few days later. Boom. Yeah, sorry. You talking about the blowing up the balloons, I was just like... it was one of those sad things that they never realized, I feel like. And I was like, that would have actually been really cool. I'm very happy that they did what they did. Spielberg did what he did with Disney on that.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool to see that version of Roger Rabbit. Anyway, what were we talking about before? I mean, obviously Amiculus, but what were we were talking about Giancarlo.
Yeah.
And we're talking about how he's a Roman based in Italy, and he's been working for 40 years in comics.
Yeah.
So, and I know I've asked this before, so I apologize, but how did you stumble upon Giancarlo? Did you read some of his work and you're like, I want to work with that guy, or
LinkedIn? Yeah, it's the stupidest answer on the face of the planet, but that's how we met.
LinkedIn is so you can link up with other people. It's a very valid... I feel like it's not the first thing you hear, which sometimes is kind of sad, because LinkedIn is for all types of businesses.
It does, yeah.
Usually people go ArtStation, or... This is an old chestnut for everybody. DeviantArt.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the early days.
I have a DeviantArt account.
Yeah.
I haven't touched it
in years.
God knows how long.
Neither have I. Every once in a while I go on there, I'm like, what's that going on in DeviantArt? I have to update something. Okay. But yeah, like ArtStation and I feel like is the newer, hipper, cooler version of DeviantArt. But
ArtStation. Okay.
Do you ever have you ever been to digital webbing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's another place that's really cool. So it's really bizarre too, because when you go there, it's just a forum of like three things. It's like artists hiring, writers hiring, and just people seeking help. It's a very vague, so it could be a little bit of anything.
Yeah.
So for those out there listening, if you want to do your own, self-publish your own book, we're just giving you links right now, so you can go check it. LinkedIn, ArtStation, and digitalwebbing.com.
Yeah, on LinkedIn, and this is the surprising thing, because, who expected that actually to work, right?
Yeah.
For anybody. But there are forums on there specifically for comic book creators. There's one called Comic Book Creators, Work in Comics.
Now that I did not know.
Yeah. I mean, it is a place, it's basically, a trading floor, essentially, for artists and writers to come together and work out deals and collaborate.
Yeah, I mean, that's because I have to wonder too, and this is me asking, so I know, but some of our listeners who might want to do the same thing might have a similar, and don't go into specifics because that's not necessarily our business, but in terms of, did you work out a contract with him? Like, you spoke with him, worked out a contract, and then moved forward, or did you do a few pages based on commission, and then you guys worked out a contract?
It was always contract first.
Good man.
Always
so
contract
those
first.
Listening out there, try to always do contract first. Don't.
Yeah.
And that's hard, because when you're first starting off, it's not something you think about. You know what I mean?
Usually, if an artist, an artist's worth is sold, I mean, any serious artist is going to have a website where you can get a sense. I would never ask an artist to do anything on spec. I just want to say that right now. I would never ask anyone to say, draw me something, and maybe if I like it, I'll pay you. No, I don't do that.
Not like that. But they do offer commissions though, so you can base something on a commission, and there's like a very rough contract there, but it's not for ongoing, like an actual comic, like a full comic book,
right,
or a graphic novel. And I feel like sometimes people, I've done that in my early, where I didn't have a contract with somebody, and it ended up biting me in the ass a little bit. And I know for a fact there's going to be someone else out there listening to this going like, okay, cool, digital webbing, LinkedIn, okay, go there. But you need a contract, and you can
basic
Google that.
Work for hire contract.
Exactly. You can Google that really simply.
Yeah.
But if you didn't know to look for it though, or to think about that, that's something to think about. So you reached out to him on LinkedIn, you guys chatted a bit back and forth, and then you guys start to work. And so the trailer, because I've seen it before other people have seen it, and it's pretty bitchin'. Matter of fact, we'll play it here in a second, but it will. But there's a part in there that says it's an epic 10 years in the making. And if I remember from the trailer, it only shows that the Kickstarter for Amiculus was 2015.
That's only the first time I started funding for it. I mean, I was writing it a lot longer before that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I started working on that, to date myself, in 2007. So it's really more than 10 years at this point. It's 12 years. Jeez.
Yeah.
But
I get 10 years is a nicer, rounder number. I get you.
It took me, honestly, let's see. I mean, if I really want to make myself sound awful, it took me about it took me maybe 9 months to write the first draft, and then another 3 years to get around to finishing it because I'm a procrastinator and a perfectionist and terrified of failure. But
aren't we all really?
And then after that, it was about finding the artist, which Giancarlo and I connected in 2012. We put together a package that we pit like a 5-page package that he drew, which those 5 pages are in the comic now, and pitched to we pitched that to publishers, which of course did not work because nobody's going to buy a comic based on a bunch of black and white images. No offense, but and a concept. So I decided to kickstart it. I'm sure you probably heard this before on Good, Bad, and Geeky.
That's okay.
First campaign failed utterly for many reasons. Long story. Second campaign, after some fierce retooling, succeeded, and then the next campaign and the next campaign also did succeed. And the campaigning, like I said, just to recap, 4 years writing. 4 years writing, 2 years of fruitless pitching, and then another 4 years of crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So that's how it breaks down.
And so you had all of it written, like all 3 books written, or when you finish it? Oh, now see, that's smart. So some people will just do like book 1, and then that's what they write. Like they might have like guideposts for book 2 and book 3. But see, you did the smart thing, in my opinion, thing, which is you finished the full story. So you know exactly where you're going. So, and which is also helpful. So actually I have a question. I don't think I asked this last time. When you had the script and you would give pages to Giancarlo, was it just pages, or did you give him the whole script and he just kept working?
I gave him. I did not give him the entire script.
Okay.
I gave him each volume. Like, I gave him the whole script of each volume.
Okay.
So he didn't know how it was going to end. I mean, he knew the concept, he knew where it started, he knew where it ended, but he didn't know all the details in between.
Okay.
With each successful crowdfunder, I gave him the volume 1 script, I gave him the volume 2 script, I gave him the volume 3 script.
Okay.
But he didn't know all the details in between.
So have you guys ever talked about if that, like, because there's a part of me, this is why I'm not an artist, is that there's a part of me I'm like, well, I want to know where it's going. Like, I know it's like Lost. Spoiler. I know it will end on Jack's eye closing because that's how the show opened, right?
Yeah.
With Jack's eyes opening. But how do we get to that point? You know what I mean? So like, that is how that kind of sounds to me. It's like, well, he knew, this is the ending. So like rough guideline of like a guidepost of the ending.
Yep.
But he doesn't know how he gets there. I would just be like chomping at the bit going, well, but again, because then I would be overthinking it, which is if I draw something this way here, maybe that could be foreshadowing also to over here and doing this. And I would just get stuck in my own head trying to figure out layout and before I even draw anything else. But I was just curious if he ever sat there and did he ever ask you questions like, what is this? Anything that you what like on page 34 or something? What does that mean? Like, what is that? Does that mean something else? Or then he just drew?
No, I mean, he was, he ran with it. Honestly, I just sort of, it's crazy. In 7 years that we've been working together, we've only met in person twice.
Jeez.
And
that's awesome. Even though it's just twice, it's still awesome though.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy to meet someone, you know what I mean, overseas, and for them to meet you, vice versa. Like, a lot of things have to line up.
Yeah.
Will our president let him into our country? Will our president let you out of our country?
Yeah.
So, joking aside, though, but like there really are, because it's more, especially financially.
Yep.
There's a lot of other factors that have to go into effect, and if there's anyone else coming with you, like a loved one or his loved one or family, it raises those complications just a little bit. So the fact that you even had twice is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's some people that don't ever get to meet their artist. You know what I mean? They might talk to him on the phone. Have you talked to him on the phone a lot?
No, we communicate mainly through email.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's kind of awesome, man.
But he's a great guy. He's really cool, a little short, but I'm a little tall. Like the first thing, like we met in Chicago the first time, and like he's looking around for me, and I see him, and the first thing he says, he comes up to me, Travis, my friend. Oh, you're very tall. And then he looks at himself, he's like, Italian. which I didn't. He's a great guy. He and his wife Katya, his daughter Flavia, by the way, she does digital color for all of the books.
Does she?
Yeah, and she's amazing.
So it's a family affair.
It really is. Yeah.
That's so. Did you ever ask him on how old is she, by the way, or rough estimate? You might not know exactly, but
she's
like mid-20s,
late 20s. She's a millennial.
But,
yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm not
right.
giving any shade. I'm just trying to give some context.
No, sure. Did you ever ask him or her? Because does it sound like you met her too? When you went to Chicago, has she always been doing that, or did she do it kind of like for fun? And it's like, here, keep busy by doing this because you like to color, and then she just, I'm really good at this, and she just kept doing it, and then she's like, hey, Dad, do you have anything for me?
I actually interviewed them both when I was in Rome. They met me in Chicago. I went and met them in Rome and went to their house and everything. And I interviewed them. And unfortunately, that interview has yet to see the light of day because it just didn't find. I didn't find the opportunity to do it. But someday, maybe. Flavia. I mean, she's a very talented artist. She's done her own. She's had her own, gallery shows in Rome.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
She has actually done coloring. She's been the colorist for a lot of Giancarlo's professional work. Actually, I think.
See, that's so cool, man. Legitimately, it's not just a one-off family thing. It's like, I wonder if they ever go out of their way to work with each other, or is it happenstance? I'm sure at some point it was, if I do this, do you mind? Mm-hmm. I have a colorist I can recommend to you.
Yeah. They seem like a fantastic team.
From reading Amiculus, they are. You know what I mean? Actually, all three of you are. So, no, that's so cool. So when you went to Rome, what was probably, did he show you around and all that?
Yeah, we did some things. We went to dinner. We like I said, he invited us to his house for Sunday lunch, which lasted for 4 hours, 5 hours actually. It was. So
did amazing. Your wife Becky go with you too?
Oh yeah, Becky went with me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So it really, So one of the things I liked is if you get a chance to watch it, it's pretty cool. Well, I enjoy at least. Is Somebody Feed Phil? It's Phil Rosenthal from Everybody Loves Raymond. He being Italian, Jewish Italian, or some weird feeling of those two things in Jersey. His parents didn't cook well, and so but he just suffered through it, and they didn't go out to eat much. And then when he went to college, he didn't eat much because he was poor. And then when he moved to Hollywood, and his first big successful job was Raymond, he started Raymond and other writers were like, hey, let's go here to eat, and he's like, oh my god, eating out is the best thing ever because it's about creating an atmosphere with other people that you're eating with, and you're having a good time and you're enjoying excellent food. Yeah. And it's weird how food bridges that gap is what he was trying to go for. Yeah. Took me the long way to get there. But
sure.
He went to Italy. He went to a bunch of places in Europe especially, and if I remember correctly, both the Italy and I think Spain one, or France, sorry, both of those countries, like their lunches or dinners are like huge deals there. It's not just like a quick 45 minute to an hour. It's like a 4 to 5 hour extravaganza of talking, eating, coffee. Coffee's a big thing, or some type of drink beforehand. Usually
drinks between every course.
Yeah, which so if you gastric bypass, not going to be good for you because you have to stop. You should is what the study says. You should stop. So before you eat anything, 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after you eat, then you can drink something. And so if you're doing that, you're just being rude to the culture. So then you just have to get that's a new hell to go into. But so what was the coolest thing that he was super excited to show you when he showed you guys around? Was there anything in particular, because he probably showed you to a few different places, but from what you remember, what was one place he seemed to get a little bit more excited about than some of the others?
Well, we didn't exactly go on a tour with him.
Sure.
I mean, he, like I said, we met for dinner in Trastevere, which is like the west side of the Tiber. Really nice, kind of like, I guess you'd almost call it like I don't know, like the Greenwich Village of Rome. But it's really nice. We went to a restaurant that, of course, he knew the owner. You know,
I feel like that anytime you go, or maybe it's just any documentary you see, like whether it be Anthony Bourdain's a little different because he's an actual chef.
Yeah.
But like, not even somebody if you feel like he doesn't know these people and he's walking up and he's usually talking to someone who's brought him there, but the person that's bringing him there, and they're like a random TV person or like an anchor. I think one of them was like a news anchor. They really don't have any pull really there, but like he knows the owner somehow because their kids went to school together, and it's very much like it's not what the normal networking that you would think would be like is when you go to a restaurant owner. It's like everybody, it feels like the atmosphere of everybody knows everybody. Like it's very communal, where I feel like in America, unless it's brunch, not as communal. I don't know. That's a weird thing. It's one of the things I like about Europe every time I would go over there. It's very...
No, dinners are chill. They're great.
Chill AF.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you could just sit there and eat and sip wine or sip brandy or sip something else alcoholic or something.
What was your choice of drink? Was it brandy? Or was it the wine?
I tried everything, honestly. I don't know. Like I said, dinner was nice, but like I said, that Sunday that we spent at his house, you know, like it was a compound with, you know, like his parents, his wife's parents lived there, and it was like a big family event. I was embarrassed mainly because, you know, you had two groups of people. You had a bunch of Italians who spoke very little English, and a couple of Americans who spoke almost no Italian, just sort of, you know, trying to have a conversation.
So okay,
you know?
Well, let's talk about that. Being that you've studied the history, studying the history of a country or a place or a monarchy or anything like that, anything that you study in history doesn't necessarily mean if it's in a different language you can speak it.
Right.
So, but did anything while doing that rubbed off that almost helped you, or was it... You know, because I'm sure it was probably more challenging for Becky than it was possibly you in terms of, because I feel like you would have maybe like 1% more because you've been immersed in that world a little bit in terms of the history, the names, or whatever. So you might be able to, you know how to pronounce names probably more. I wouldn't be able to do that. And you might have picked up a word here or there that you might have could I work that in the script there, or should we just stick with pure English, or you know what I mean? Like in my head, that's where you would possibly go. So you could say that one word, and that's your word, and why Becky might not have that. You know what I mean? So, but if you didn't have that, that's okay too.
Italian has unfortunately changed a bit in the 2,000 years since the period that I'm studying. So that's the other thing too. So anything that you did learn is. It's like ye olde English if you try to study even, which I think a lot of people in movies and TV shows, if they try to actually do, what was it? I remember reading it in Timeline by Michael Crichton, and I never thought of it. And I was like, 20 when that book came out, and I never thought about, which was like, because when they first teleport through, some ye old knights come up and chop off their ye old heads because when they start speaking to them, they didn't have their translator in, and it's just gibberish on the page. Like it's ye old, but it's still worse. It sounds almost like a weird mix between English and German, and because it's Anglo-Saxon, like whatever. And the other people who had their translators on, you realize what they were saying, which is, if you say who you are, we'll kill you. And they didn't know that, and they got their head chopped off. And they're like, holy shit. And then the other person who realized something was wrong kept their mouth shut. And so they're like, what the hell's going on? It's like, glad you didn't say anything. You need a translator because you don't know you're not going to understand what they're saying because they don't speak like Shakespearean even. Yeah.
Like it's completely different than how that media built it up to be, which I was like, oh, I never once thought of that. And if you watch any documentary on any show, if they do talk about the language of the time, that's one of the first things they do kind of throw in there. Anyway.
English as we know it now didn't really exist prior to 600 years ago.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's weird when you look at history and you realize that it feels a long time because the number is large. To me, 600 years feels a lot because I'll die 60 to 85 years within a 100-year time frame. You know what I mean?
Maybe
and
you
then,
will.
Well, hey.
Kidding.
But some people, like Travis, maybe.
Predictions.
Well, I'm just saying, Travis, maybe you last 200 years. Okay, maybe 3.
Not the way I'm going.
Oh, hey. But you know what I mean? So it's a weird how big history can seem or how small it can seem in the context of the person looking at it. So with the Kickstarter trailer, we're gonna play the audio for that real quick.
Yes.
Technically, I'm hearing it first.
Yeah.
And so technically you guys by default are too. And if
this
you want
is the
to know
big
more,
pitch.
Yeah, this is the big chalupa.
Salute Amiculi, and welcome to an epic graphic novel series a decade in the making. For those of you new to Amiculus, this series recounts a lost history of the fall of Rome that pits the conspiratorial savage rulers of a crumbling empire against a mysterious saboteur known only as Amiculus in a war for the fate of Western civilization. Thanks to our amazing backers over previous campaigns, we've fully realized Amiculus as a 3-part series and a limited edition omnibus. Now we're prepared to launch the redesigned Ultimate Omnibus, featuring new art and a brand new 24-page story, Amiculus Domina. Now enjoy this action-packed plunge into the world of Amiculus, and see for yourself if this mighty empire actually fell, or if it was pushed. From the private journals of Procopius. I once thought I knew the truth. When Rome's empire in the West died, it died with a whimper, eaten from within by corruption, from without by barbarian hordes. Or so I once believed. This book tells a different story. It showed me the truth. Rome didn't die. It was murdered. And this man, this demon, this Amiculus, is the one who cut its throat. Rome can still be revived. Its glory can live again. But I must learn Amiculus' secrets. Who he was. Why he did what he did. And how he began.
That's awesome. That's so beautiful. And I also like to point out, I don't think we've talked about this before. Just throwing it out there. You did the vocals at the end as well, correct?
I did the voiceover for Procopius, the narration. Yes.
Yes. Damn good, sir.
Thank you.
It's up there with how good you were in Katesh. Actually, you're good in everything that you're in. To be fair, no, you are. But I'm just saying, it's really good. It's aggravating how good it is. Like, so here's the thing. Travis was playing that from his end of the table, and I've already seen it before we began recording, but just listening to it even, it just sounds boss.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And go to Kickstarter right now and look up Amiculus. What are you doing listening to this still? Go check it out and back it. Do you have? Because I know it's technically like almost a few days, under a week before this goes, before your Kickstarter starts. What are the tiers price wise? Do you have those available that you could maybe just throw out there and tease a little bit, like
sure.
$10 for this or $20?
You want me to go through the whole list?
If you would like to, or I would just say, what are the bigger? Obviously, the omnibus itself would probably be one of them. But anything that you would like to tease out there for people.
Well, probably the big one that you're going to want to see is I have there's going to be an early bird special where you can get both the 240-page omnibus and the 24-page first issue of Domina. I'm also doing it as a floppy first chapter of the series.
Cool.
As a separate floppy comic. You can get both of those together along with a lot of digital rewards and the new Amiculus map for just $30.
Oh, wow. That's that's awesome.
Yeah, that's for the first 100 backers is what it's going to be. And then the standard The standard tier for that, once that's exhausted, it'll be $40. Just up from that for the same package.
Oh wow! So yeah, get in that. Be one of those first 100.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. We are also for returning Amiculus backers. We are also offering the 24-page issue of Amiculus Domina as its own tier. So if you've backed before, you can come back and read the new stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say you already have it and you're not going to be Nick and going to go for that early bird special, I'm not kidding people. I'm going to be fighting you for one of those 100 spots. So apologies. Let's really say there's 99.
Yeah,
let's just say
fair
that.
enough.
But no, seriously, like say I was being lame and I already have that and I don't want the super cool, super awesome omnibus edition. I just want the 24-page, story. I can just get that and add it to my collection. That's a smart play, sir. At least in my opinion, that's a good call.
That also comes with the new map too.
Ooh,
yeah. So just like that package together is the new map and the 24-page Domina issue.
What else? What other like maybe one or two more tiers?
Sure. We're doing we're doing a cover package where you can also get, in addition to the books, you can get mini posters of the entire Amiculus cover catalog. As frameable posters. It will be, of course, signed. You will get. There's another tier where you can get the script for the book along with the books. Like actually, the script for both. There'll be two of them this time, hardbound with a cover plate on them.
Oh wow!
You can do. This is one of my. I invented the word for this. Is you can do. There's an Amiculize Me tier, which that's an old favorite actually. We've done that since the beginning.
But that's awesome though.
Yeah, where you send us a picture, Giancarlo will draw you in the style of the book draw you in the style of the ancient world in whatever style you want. We've had people as Romans, barbarians, Persians, Gauls, Greeks, whatever you want to be, however you want to look. And this year we're presenting that with the script, so like the front book plate will be your drawing. It'll be you on that.
Can I just say, as someone who it literally took me. I'm 38 now. Womp womp. I probably wasn't until I was 29, and I had actively tried looking for what the definition of a book plate was, because I get the concept of it, but I just was like, well, why the book plate? And it took me until I was like 29 to kind of like, oh, I thought it was like replacing something on the book, and no, it's not. It's a plate, or not a plate, but like a page that sits in the book usually, and there's something extra on it.
Yep, I may be using that incorrectly, because what I'm talking about would actually be on the cover of the book.
Okay.
Instead of in the book.
Okay. Well, no, that can also be as well. Sorry, that's...
Yeah.
It's a little bit of both. Whatever the opening jacket is, whether it be the front or the back of that, of the front of the book or the back of the book, is where the book plate can go. And that... But again, my poor little brain just couldn't... I was like, well, that's cool, but like I didn't understand how or what was the logistics of it. It's like, because again, oh, you are getting your normal cover, but you're also getting that on top of that. That's where my brain was not functioning right. Because I was trying to look at other books I've seen previously, and like, well, what's a book plate? Have I seen a book plate before? And I've not really seen one before. So anytime I saw it on something on Kickstarter or something, I just... So I'm now one of those people that go, I know what a book plate is.
Nice.
And so book plates are awesome.
And in that one, like I said, you get a really nice piece of original art signed by Giancarlo, which that's a thing to have. I just saw some of his art from some of his books were on auction for some pretty high prices, actually.
Damn.
Not too long ago.
Well, so are you offering? Did he actually draws with pencil and pen?
Yes,
right?
He it'll be black and white. He does pencil and inks, and like I said, his daughter does coloring.
Sure.
He typically doesn't do colors himself. That's usually added
Was she
digitally.
digital?
Yes.
Okay, and so did you? And I apologize if we've asked this in a previous episode, but have you guys done where you sold artwork, or is that like it's the logistics of that are a little bit more challenging to do?
You mean in the Kickstarter? Mm-hmm. Well, There is a tier this is another one that we sort of combined with the Amiculize Me tier, is that with like the top shelf tier, I guess, what do I call it? The ultimate Amiculus tier, the ultimate Omnibus tier, or something like that. The ultimate art patch, which I can't remember. I have to look at the list.
No, you're fine.
Giancarlo, at one tier, he will go one step further and do an acrylic painting of your character.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, he's done one of me, actually, as a Roman emperor. It's baller. I will tell you that right now.
I have to ask, where's that in your brand new home? Where will that be? Will that be placed at? Like, is it in your office where we're like right above the desk, or is this like, honey, no, we're putting this in the dining room? Actually, I don't know. It depending on what Becky feels on the picture. I don't. Like, if I had that made of me, my wife would not let me put that in the dining room. She's
it's
like,
probably going to be in my office. I mean, I got a ton of I've got a ton of art actually from Giancarlo that I'm going to be putting in a place of honor in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And the great thing about the way he draws you, he makes you look slightly Italian.
Oh,
it's interesting. It's like, that's my friend. I know that guy. I know her. But they all look a little European now. Isn't that interesting? I don't know what it is, but
Isn't that strange? Like, that's awesome. So a Kickstarter, go to Kickstarter, look up Amiculus. Where can we find you on social media and all that stuff?
I'm on Instagram, of course, Facebook.
That's how I always feel about Facebook sometimes too. It's like, I guess I gotta post stuff there.
Yeah. Twitter, right now it's at, I'm speaking as pre-campaign Travis right now, even though this is coming out. Right now it's at Travis Horseman. I think I'm going to change it. I'm going to be changing it in a short time to at Amiculus Omnibus.
Okay.
So
when this episode goes up, and if you're looking at my Twitter feed, and that's how you maybe found this, and you see that, and you go, oh, that's who that is. It's Travis.
Yep.
That I've tagged in the tweet.
Yes.
Was there anything else, good sir, about the Kickstarter that you would like people to know about?
Well, I just want to reiterate again that for us, as a select upper tier reward, we are doing Amiculus sketch covers.
That does
on the
really
books.
Rad.
We're doing omnibuses, sketch cover omnibuses, where again we're combining the best qualities of the Amiculize Me and putting the character in the book, except we're putting you front and center on your own custom cover of your omnibus. This is going to be an additional. There's going to be the regular omnibus, and then there's going to be the sketch cover omnibus in that package.
I would be remiss to say you guys hit your total within a week or so.
Not counting on it, but
but
never.
Either
assuming.
way, before the campaign ends, you guys reach your total.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What stretch goals? Do you have any stretch goals planned out that you have in the back that you have lined up and ready to go to throw out there if you guys hit it?
Yes. The first stretch goal, one of the ones I'm most proud of is for the Volume 3 campaign. I did an Amiculus coin.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a replica. It's done in the sort of the style of an ancient Roman coin. So this coin, it has Romulus's face on one side and Amiculus's face on the other, and it has the tagline of the series in Latin, which the tagline of the series is, "Did Rome fall or was it pushed?"
Yeah.
So that was the Amiculus coin that I did as a stretch goal for my last campaign. I'm doing a similar one this time, except it's going to be a Domina coin. This one's going to have, it's for the new book. It's going to be, ideally I want it to be silver. The last one was kind of a golden bronze.
Yeah.
This one is going to be, it's going to be her face, and then hers and Amiculus's face is sort of a Janus head on the back,
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, so everybody, then we know what we must do, because I want a coin, goddammit. So check out Travis on Twitter, and if he does change the Twitter handle, again, I will be tweeting that up so you can reach out to him, and also I'll be tweeting the link as well, and it'll be in our show notes for this episode when it goes live. Travis, thank you so much, man, for coming by and just shooting the shit and just talking us a little bit more about Amiculus.
My pleasure.
Is this great thing that you've put out into the world, and it's so good to see it come to life.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, of course, man.
donut, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something, because I'll tell you something. This is a happy place.